All right. Peace and greetings, YouTubers. So, 2019, where do I begin? You know, if I could think of a phrase or a word or an expression to describe my 2019, I definitely have to say my 2019 was very... Yeah, that's the phrase right there, the expression. Just, My 2019 was very... I'm not gonna lie, like 2019 did a number on me. It was like I swear I got jumped by the year. Like the 20 and the 19 like met me in the parking lot and caught me off guard. And I mean they stumped my head to the curb, everything. It was like they were like, you know, what you want to do? I was like, I would just like to have peace of mind. And 2019 was like, nope. What else? I'm like, oh, okay. You know, give me all your happiness. Let's go. And so I don't know. It was just there was a lot of like hurdles and roadblocks that just kept hitting. So it got in the way of other really great milestones that happened this year. I remember when I did my 2018 video, I talked about how, you know, the lesson I learned was that like I'm not in control of anything, and the only thing I can really control is how I respond or how I react to different things that happen, and I have to kind of just go with the flow. And I still went with that model, but the problem was my 2019 just would not flow. It was like a roller coaster. So it was, and mind you, it's like I was on a roller coaster, but I wasn't in a roller coaster car, but I needed to be in the car in order to ride it. Or I don't know, like it was like I was getting on the ride, but the car pulled off and I got left and I had to chase behind it. Like, that's what it felt like. So what I'll do is let me get through all the doom and gloom crap first, and then we'll go into the happier stories. And so one of the biggest things that happened was, one, things in life kind of affected some of my own like creative outlets a little bit. Like if you notice, especially in like the latter half of this year, my content consistency wasn't where it was in the earlier half of the year. As far as like, my goal with YouTube is always to at least have one video out every week and a half. Sometimes 2 or 3 videos a week, you know, if I can do it. And then the other goal is also try to be consistent with the podcast and everything. But like life just was happening, and so I was never in a capacity to do all the things that I wanted to do, and it kind of stressed me out a little bit. And really it was stuff that I couldn't control, because like even like this past month I didn't do as many videos because I told you my mother's best friend died when I was doing a live video. Like my mother's best friend died, so I had to go to Detroit. Which is already interesting enough because the funeral was the day before my mother's, what would have been her 32nd wedding anniversary if my father was still alive. So that was already enough to witness. And then to witness your mom bury her best friend is already tough in itself. But I'll say she held up really well. My mom's a really strong person. And, you know, she even spoke at the funeral. And I'll say, like, I get my comedic side from my mom's side of the family. But as far as the immediate family, my mother is where I get my comedic ends from. So she had the people in that church cracking up, because you know everybody else, it's a funeral, so people are telling the sad stories and I'm gonna miss you forever. She was in there telling all kind of jokes about when they met 30 years ago and when they were in the military. So everybody in there was dying. Well, not dying, I guess it's a funeral, but dying of laughter, like the good dying, not the sad one. But it was sad to see her friend go, and it happened so fast. Like, you know, her friend had been battling with 2 different cancers. Like, she had breast cancer, they were able to control that and everything was good, and then she ended up getting ovarian cancer. And you know, like, with some of the cancers, they're more aggressive than the others. Like ovarian and pancreatic cancer and prostate cancer, like those are the ones they take you out so fast. And so like she got diagnosed with ovarian cancer and she was gone before a month had even passed. I was like, that's crazy. So, you know, we went to Detroit for that. I just got back a few days ago because I also went to Atlanta right afterwards for the holiday. But that was tough. But I'm proud of my mom though, because she's been able to kind of really pull through it a lot, because there's been a lot that happened for her. Like right now, one of the things I'm proud of her for is like she's working on a book, because I told her, I'm like, you really have a story to tell. Like I'm not gonna tell all her business, but she has so much that has happened. Like her life really is like a movie. But just the major things that you guys would know is like, you know, because she buried her husband about 4 years ago, and then she also buried her mother like 4 years before that. Now the best friend died, and you know, but she pretty much everything she said that she wanted to do, she's been able to do. She said she was gonna retire, she was gonna move from Washington State, she was gonna move to Georgia, build a new house and start over, and she's done all of that. So kudos to her. So maybe 2019 was supposed to be her year. You know what I mean? I don't know how all that works, but you know, I was proud of her. She's been able to really pull through. One of the other sad aspects of this year is like, if you follow my podcast, I always talk about my cousin Mikayla, and I talked about her on the live as well, but my cousin Mikayla passed away, which kind of caught me. It didn't catch me off guard because I saw it coming, but it's just, you don't ever want to see your family members pass on. She was special needs, and she had Prader-Willi syndrome, which it's a unique syndrome because there's so many elements to it. Like, one, you're kind of on the autism spectrum, and then with Prader-Willi syndrome, you don't have a metabolism, so everything you eat stays on you, and you gain a lot of weight, and then your body never tells you when you're full, so literally you can eat yourself to death, literally, if you're not, like, in control of it. She was high functioning with her condition, so, you know, she was able to do a lot of things that other kids and adults with her syndrome may not have been able to do. They didn't ever think she'd be able to, like, talk or read and write or do math and stuff like that, and she did it all. And so another cool thing was that, you know, she lived to be 21. Like, a lot of people with her specific version of Prader-Willi syndrome don't live past 11 or 12, and she literally, like, doubled that. And I think that only came from the aspect of being in a loving environment. Like, the people who really helped to raise her, like, when I tell you they did such a good job, they did everything they could for her, and they always made sure that she would get the best life that she could possibly have based on the conditions that she was afforded. And, you know, it was crazy. Like, I remember I went to Savannah for her graduation because she had graduated from high school this May, and, you know, because she was a cousin I would stop, drop, and roll for. Anytime she said, when are you coming to visit, I was there. So, you know, we went to the graduation, and I was so happy for her. Everybody in the family, and they're crying and choked up, like, just because it's graduation and stuff. And we had this big party for her, this huge graduation bash, and it was so nice. Like, her friends from school were there, and, like, she literally had like 200 people at this party, and it was nice. And I mean, I said a little speech and everything, and, you know, something told me that was gonna be the last time I was gonna see her. I don't know why I was feeling that way, but I just knew, like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna see her anymore. And then, like, fast forward 2 months, we were literally doing a live on this channel. I had just did the live, and then as soon as I laid down, maybe like 30-40 minutes later, her mom called and was like, yeah, she pretty much gave me the news. Mikayla pretty much passed away. And it was crazy because, like, literally she died 4 years to the day within the hour that my father passed. Like, my father technically died on July 12th for those on the East Coast, but it was July 11th on the West Coast because it was still like 10:45 p.m., but it was definitely like 1 in the morning on this side. And so she literally died within the same time frame that my father did it. So that kind of freaked me out a little bit. But, man, that funeral, the funeral actually, it was actually a really nice funeral, but it was also sad. And I think the part that got me was, like, when I saw her friends, because, mind you, she was in, like, the special needs class. So these are all the kids that were in her special needs class. When I saw all her friends, like, crying over the casket, I was like, okay, I thought I was strong. I don't think I'm strong enough for this. I had to, like, walk away and go to the other side. And then when I tried to walk away and go to the other side, then I ran into my brother who was on the other side of the limo crying because that's actually his biological sister. So I was like, I can't escape any of this today. Okay, like, it was a lot. And I'll definitely say, like, there's a special place in my heart for people who have to raise those who are in need, like, who have physical ailments or disabilities or who are special needs, because it really is a tough world to live in, because literally your entire life and your entire well-being and your entire sense of purpose is to take care of that person and make sure that you can give them everything that they so desire to have. And the hard part is you have so many naysayers who are always critiquing or judging, and, like, because one of the things I used to hate when I was little, because of her condition, she gained a lot of weight. Like, she definitely had to be at least 400 pounds when she passed, but it wasn't anything she could control. And the worst part about it was, like, she didn't eat that much. She really didn't eat a lot of food, but everything she ate would stay on her. It was terrible. But when I was little, I used to be ready to fight people because people would stare at us. Like, when we would go to the mall and stuff, you know, people would stare and look at us. And I used to be like, especially if we went to a restaurant, like, yo, people would be looking because they would look at her like she's not supposed to eat. I'm like, mind your business. But no, Mikayla, I think what made it so sad was, like, she was such a pure, like, spirit. Like, because she was 21, she, like, for me, she resembled how society would be if society wasn't corrupt. You know, because of her condition, there were some things she just was never going to pay attention to or fully understand. Stuff like race, politics, a lot of things like that wasn't on her radar. So that was never something that she would, like, judge people by or anything like that. And so she just had this really pure approach to life, and she saw the good in everybody. So, you know, I feel like that's the way society was supposed to be. It's just we as humans mess it up. But yeah, so that was a rough one to see her pass on. Plus, my mom's side of the family is so small, so I'm close to everybody on that side. So anytime something happens to somebody, it messes me up. So, like, all of that played a huge role. It just kind of took my energy down. And then to keep going, when we talk about mental health, I have a really, really close friend who they've just been dealing with a whole lot mentally. And it's to the point where, as a friend, I had to fall back some to give them their space and respect their plight and respect their journey because, it's to the point where they don't even know who I am anymore. And I think that's been really hard because we've been tight since probably I was 19. And so having to let that friend, not let them go because there's a place in my heart for them, but I'm not able to meet them where they are because of the condition that they have. And there's nothing that either of us can do to kind of ease that situation. And now that they don't really know who I am, like they really, like if we were to stand in a room, they wouldn't recognize me. That's how bad it is. It's just like I have to step back some because by me trying to be intrusive and trying to still be in their life or try to still be their friend, for them it's intrusive to them and it's also frightening, especially with the condition that they have. So that's been really hard. I was like, dang, because it's crazy because it just came out of nowhere. Like maybe about 2 years ago, it just boom, here you go, and then it just got worse and got worse, and now it's like, man, I'm not gonna say it's a point of no return, but it's hard. And then when people have like mental health issues, especially if they don't want to take the meds and everything, it's crazy because meds are already another conversation. It's like, dang, man, goodness. All right, shifting gears a little bit because I want to get into a few happier things, but this is the transition part of the video, so this is gonna be like happy but semi-happy and not that happy. I'll definitely say YouTube. Just my experience on YouTube this year, this was definitely probably my best year analytically as far as like getting the subscriber counts and the views. And I had some really popular videos, which was really cool. I got a video, I think, that got more than 100,000 views. And I had a few up there that got like 80,000, which I remember a time where I could barely pull together 500 views on a video. So, of course, I'm grateful. But this, in my opinion, was also one of my less impressive years as far as consistency. And I think it just came from, one, some of the things I was telling you about, a lot of the hardships, but a lot of it was just I was also burnt out this year. I put in so much work into so many different things that sometimes I just really didn't have the energy to do YouTube sometimes. And it's hard because the life that I live is a life where I have people constantly pulling me in millions of directions because I have the attention of so many people. So in my actual career, I run a community center, which means that I always have to be at 100% every time I walk into the doors because the people in there are counting on me to provide whatever service it is that I'm supposed to provide that day. And because the majority of the people that I'm working with are children, and children from every age group, every background, gender, cultural, all of that, everything. You gotta kind of turn on different switches. So, like my day would consist of, I don't know, maybe that day 3 of my high schoolers are doing terrible in chemistry class and they're stressed out. So I'm trying to, talk them off the ledge and help them understand, okay, well, you messed up this quarter, but we can fix the next quarter. And then at the same time, one of the 5-year-olds comes into the office screaming because, the other kid that was 7 said that they are not the line leader and they're not friends anymore. And so now you're trying to calm the 5-year-old down. And at the same time, the 9-year-old and push some 8-year-old into the bookshelf. I'm like, look, all y'all sit down. Sit down. And so you're dealing with all of that. And, and you get off of work and it's like, by the time you get home from the commute, it's like 8 o'clock and you still haven't eaten dinner. Then you got to eat dinner and everything like that. And so by the time you eat dinner, it's like 8:45. That's if you didn't cook. Because if you cooked, or say you had to take out something and thawed it, I'm probably not eating until like 9 because I like to put some time into my food. I like to make it, I like the seasonings and everything to really pop in and marinate and simmer and all. Like, I don't have to do food. I like to eat well. And so, you're doing all that. And then, like, literally, when you get home and finally sit down after you've eaten and get like 2 minutes to yourself, you got a million social media notifications. And I don't know, something crazy happened in the news today. And everybody's like, when are you going to talk about so-and-so? I'm waiting on the video. I'm like, dang, man, I literally just got home. And I just want to lay down. I'm like, all right, let me do this video. Then I don't know, I'll take 10, 20 minutes and I'm kind of looking at all the details of the story, trying to make sure that I have everything correct. Then you got to do the video. And I'm a perfectionist, so if I don't like the video, it's not coming out. So sometimes I do multiple takes, and then you finish the video, I don't know, it's 10:45, 11 o'clock. Now you got to edit it. Now you got to add in the pictures in the video, and you got to add the sound, audio, and all the stuff like that. And you got to compress the video, and you got, like, man, sometimes I don't go to sleep till like 2 in the morning. And so I got a little burned out sometimes. And that's just YouTube in my career. Then you take into account the fact I do have a podcast that, even though I think the podcast took the biggest hit this year, like running the podcast, I was recording the album, I do a lot of like promotional videos on the side for different companies, like making company videos and stuff like that. So doing those different projects, and then there's every now and then there's a speaking engagement here and there. And then I still have a social life. So then, you got the friend who wants you to come to the game night, or it's this person's birthday, or maybe it's date night, and you got all this going. So I just got a little burnout, and I had to like slow down. So the second half of the year, I was like, you know what? I'm really grateful and appreciative of everything with this channel, but I'm going to take a little bit more time to just enjoy, what it is I've been able to do. Like sometimes I think we get in the habit of just go, 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 go. You don't even realize you're burning yourself out. So I was like, let me slow down, because I'm like just living day to day, and I'm not even having enough time to enjoy anything. And I noticed it once it got to the point where it was like I wasn't even watching TV at all. Even like there were a lot of award shows, and a lot of times I'd review the award shows, and they're like, oh, can you review this one? I'm like, I really didn't even watch it. I had no time. So I had to slow down a bit, but I'll say this has been a great year. I have my energies back up, so I'm definitely excited about 2020, and I have a bunch of new ideas of some of the things I want to do for the channel and for the podcast. I'm going to try to change the format of the podcast a little bit. It's still going to be storytelling, but the thing is, I only have so many stories to tell before I run out of stuff to tell. So I want to kind of change that format a little bit. But I'm excited about 2020, and I'm excited and appreciative of everybody who's rode with me this whole journey. Like 2019, I feel bad for, because there were like, I kept going back and forth. There were lots of breaks that I had to keep taking. Plus, I traveled a lot, so I wasn't home too. I did a lot of traveling, which was really cool. But anyway, let's move on to some happier things. I think the biggest thing, of course, that I'm the happiest about in 2019 was that I finally got my album out. If you knew, and you will find out, because the next video is actually my video of how I made the album. I told you guys I had kind of documented the whole process, and so I pieced all that together. So that's going to be the video after this one that comes out. But the album, that album I love. It's called The Hardcover, self-produced. Initially, it was supposed to come out. It was supposed to come out on my birthday in 2018. Like, I thought it would be kind of cool. That could be like my birthday present to myself, to release the album, but it just didn't quite happen, because I kept having like creative shifts and changes of ideas. And then I was like, okay, the album's going to come out in October. I was like, no, it's going to come out in November. And then I was like, forget it. It's just going to come out when I get it right. And so it went from August all the way into May of the next year. And really, it was just creative stuff. I just kept getting new ideas, and I just wanted it to be done right. And once I finally felt it was done right, I'm like, okay, boom, it's ready. And like, I was really excited about it. Like, I love the album, and it's crazy because I'm really just now actually starting to do the actual promotion. I haven't even really had a chance to promote it because I've just been so busy. But now I'm finally actually doing things that can kind of help the album get some legs, and I'm happy with the reception it's been getting, and the fact that it still has some legs, because it's like 7 months old now at this point. I mean, it usually, like Symphonic Euphoria, my first album, it kind of already fizzled by after 7 months. Nobody cared anymore. But this one is still gaining traction, and I think it's because my YouTube channel was growing at the same time that the album had come out. Like, when the album had came out, I think I had about 20,000 subscribers, and now we're at like 31. So, I gained like, a whole 10,000 plus subscribers in just another 7 months. And so all of those people had no idea that I did music. And so it's kind of cool to see like your music keep getting rediscovered. And one of the cool things is like when I go and I look at the stats, I'll see like there's some weeks where my first album has a whole lot more traction than the new one. I'm like, huh? But then I remember it's like, okay, well, because people have discovered you have a new album, and then they're like, wait, you had one before that? And then they go and they look at the first one. I'm like, okay, cool. So it's cool. I really enjoyed it. I had this really big launch party. Like, I rented out a club, and I was nervous too, because I'm not one to host parties, because I'm always afraid if I ever throw an event, nobody's going to show up. I'm going to get my feelings hurt. So I never like to throw like game nights or parties. But I was like, okay, for this one, because I didn't really do anything with the first album as far as promotion or an album release or listening or anything, I want to at least try with this one. So I stepped out of my comfort zone, and I rented out a club, and I rented out the third floor of Smith Commons for those who live in DC. It's on 8th Street. And then like it was nice. And mind you, I invited a lot of like people from YouTube. I would have put like just a big open invitation on the YouTube page, but at the time that the album was coming out, I had a few videos that had a lot of bad traction because, of course, we talk about race and politics, so you get a lot of trolls and people who are crazy. And I had no time for no crazy person showing up at one of my parties messing up my good day. So, pretty much what I did was the subscribers that I know live in DC that I kind of recognize, I kind of just sent personal invites to, the ones that I could remember. Plus my actual, and so it was a weird dynamic because the party consisted of like friends, co-workers, family, YouTube people. It was a very unique little mix. So it was kind of cool. It was a lot of fun. I was stressed out the whole day because like there was a problem with the rollout because iTunes and Apple Music were delayed. I don't know what that was about, but like my album literally came out a week and a half late on Apple Music and iTunes, so that messed up any chances of me charting. But it's okay. But I was really happy that day and relaxed and relieved because I put so much work in on the album, and so I don't want to spend too much time on it because that's the next video. But that's my pride and joy of 2019. Because I didn't think I'd do a second album. I thought I'd just do the first one and that was it. And here we are. Anyway, another cool thing I did this year that was actually really cool, like I helped plan and put together and execute like a whole wedding, which was not supposed to happen. I just had a friend that was getting married. They were stressed out because, you know, the families were acting crazy, stuff wasn't aligning, and I was like, well, listen, what you need me to do? And so that turned into, okay, well, this is what I need you to do. And they gave me like a whole list of stuff. And I mean, it was kind of cool though, but it was like you're on the phone with like the photographer and the limo agency and the cruise line because they did the reception on like a yacht and everything. And it was really, really cool, like just kind of like arranging everything and then seeing it all come into fruition. I was like, you know what, I might have to give me an LLC for like event planning because at this point I got a wedding. I have a funeral because I put together my dad's funeral, and actually I would say I got 3 weddings, but the other 2 weddings were already planned. I just kind of ended up having to fall in. Like I ended up doing the sound at one friend's wedding, and then the other friend's wedding I was just there for support. But it's like, okay, I done did 3 weddings and a funeral. I'm about to do an LLC, start some event planning business or something. But it was really cool, and I was really happy for them because they had been through a lot. So I was happy that they found somebody that really just kind of completes them. And the coolest thing was like they just had a baby, like the couple, they just had a baby on Christmas, which is cool because the mom's birthday is on Valentine's Day. I was like, okay, so I was like, y'all just gonna take out all the holidays, huh? But so that was really cool. I was really happy for them, and it was a really nice wedding, and then everything went smoothly too. That was the cool part because initially when we were going through the planning and family acting crazy and stuff wasn't looking right, the weather, and it was an outdoor wedding. It was cold. When we were at the rehearsal, it was like 45 degrees. I was like, man, you and these cherry blossoms, we're gonna be out here freezing. But the day of the wedding, everything just balanced out. I was like, woo, this is cool. All right, we're good. So that was a lot of fun. Of course, I really enjoyed a lot of the concerts I went to this year. Like, I have a friend, we just go to concerts. Like, we went to a bunch of concerts, had a ball. Like, we saw Anderson .Paak, we saw Tyler, the Creator. I'm skipping some people. I know we saw more than those 2, but like, there were just like a bunch of shows I went to. And then like, of course, and then my godmom was my other concert road dog. So, you know, like we saw the Whispers, and my godmom really, really likes Will Downing. We went to that show. I can't think of all these shows. Like, there's a lot of shows we went to, but I was a concert junkie. And then, of course, like, I did my West Coast trip, and that was a lot of fun, like, going to the Bay, seeing my family on that side. Those are my dad's people. But I'm not as close to them as I would like to be, so I've been building an effort to try to be closer to them. So I went and I hung with all of them in the Bay, and that was a lot of fun. And then that's when I did the radio interview, which was pretty cool, because I think that was my first one. And then I went to LA while I was over there and surprised my grandfather. I just showed up unannounced. Hey, Grandpa. And so that's cool because even with him, I'm trying to build a relationship with him because I didn't meet him until I was 8. And so, you know, so I've been working on getting, a closer established relationship with my grandfather's side as well. He's my last living grandparent. So this upcoming year, I'm going to surprise him again on his birthday. His birthday's in May, and I think this is his 86th birthday, so that's gonna be cool. And then of course I went to Vegas, and I had a ball. I think Vegas was that whole West Coast trip was like the first time I realized, like, okay, you gotta also live life. Like, you can still do all the projects, you can do all the work, but you gotta also slow down and enjoy everything, and enjoy the fresh air, enjoy when it rains outside, enjoy when you got a day off and you get to have a lazy afternoon. Enjoy that because you done earned it. And so Vegas, I had a ball. Like, first of all, I slept half the trip in Vegas, but, you know, I told you guys about it, but I went and I saw Janet's Metamorphosis show, and so that was so much fun. Just the people I was around, because I went to her show. I didn't go with any friends to Vegas. I literally went on my own. It wasn't a part of the plan. The initial plan was I was just going to go to the Bay, see my family, see my grandpa, and go home. And I was like, well, since I'm in LA, I might as well go to Vegas because it's down the street. So I ended up in Vegas, and I talked about the Janet show in another video. But I mean, I just had a ball. And I really, even that show I got to enjoy just as a fan. Like, my flaw when it comes to concerts is if I'm a big fan of the artist, I've already seen their show before I get to it because I'm looking at all the YouTube clips and I done learned all the lighting cues and when this person jumps out of the roof and when this shoots. That was the Metamorphosis show I didn't really pay attention to on YouTube. So when I really went to it, I actually got to enjoy it as a fan and really just enjoy it. I was like, whoa, okay, this is cool. And then, mind you, the people who were around me were like super fans. Like, I know I'm a big fan, but I mean, the woman next to me was like Janet's backup singer. I swear she had to be. She was loud. Well, I was about to go and say something, but like, let me just say she was the loudest one in there. Like, man, she sang every song word for word. She was trying to do the choreography and I'm like, lady, but it was so much fun. I don't know. It was like it was cool. It was cool. And then of course, like I got into the after party and she was there. I didn't get to meet her at the party, but it's cool. It is what it is. Man, but I mean, this year's been very interesting. I think the thing I'm most proud of next to my album is like my brother and I have a much closer relationship. I think because we're 7 years apart, we don't know each other that well as adults, if that makes any sense. Because our family, we're so spread out everywhere. Like, you know, I've been in DC. He's been in like 4 places in the last 3 years. He was in Hawaii, he was in Washington, he was in Texas, now he's in Germany. And so he's traveling and doing his thing. And then my mother's been bouncing around, and then my father's not here. So I'm like, our family's always been spread out. And so he and I, like somewhere along the journey, we just kind of lost our mojo. We've never fell out or anything, but it's just we have very different lives. And so my goal this year was like I wanted to be more supportive and be a bit more involved because he's where I was like 6-7 years ago, where I started hitting like that quarter life century crisis where you feel like your life is a disaster and you haven't accomplished anything. And you know, he's in that stage now, and I'm like, actually, nope, you got to look and write down everything you've been able to do and pat yourself on the back. Otherwise, you're going to spend your time judging everything you do based on other people. And mainly that comes from us just being on social media too much. But I was happy, like we made an effort to like keep up, and so we talk at least like once a week, which is good because there were times where we'd only talk like once every 4 or 5 months. And so I don't know, 2019 it's a weird year, man. It was weird. So I'm looking forward to 2020. I'm excited about 2020 because there's a lot of things I would like to do and a lot of things I would like to make up for. So that's my goal for 2020. Anyway, what are your New Year's resolutions? What are you all planning to do? Drop your 2 cents in the comments section. And yes, we shall see you on the other side. I'm out. Subscribe.